We don't give a about no new COVID strain, United States government. We don't give a Biden, you ass still got to get the on out. You still got to pack your bags and get the out. If I got to come to the White House and move you out myself, you still got to get the on out. Point blank, period. We don't give a about no new COVID strain. I was just thinking the other day, I hadn't heard Nathan about COVID. And then boom, here come a new motherfucking COVID strain. We know that this is for the elections. We already know. We not dumb no more. Thank you, TikTok and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram for allowing us to get up here and find out the truth amongst one another. Because you still gonna get the out Biden. Biden.
What it do, family? You know, since the black community's been standing on our square when it comes down to the situation of reparations and the transformative black agenda, we got a lot of people on notice. And even the mainstream media they have several times over admitted that, the black community isn't really rocking with the Democratic Party. Even though, they keep on trying to toss everything at the wall just to see what sticks. You know what I'm saying? They bring up Trump all the time. They keep on bringing up, the virus. They bring up DeSantis, the, Roe v. Wade, Supreme Court, Jim Crow, all this other stuff. And none of that stuff is working. And, it's frustrating them. But I came across this article that I found very interesting. And it asks the question that I think that we all should ask, because it's a very logical question. Could Biden step down in order to give the candidacy to Michelle Obama? And is that what they're actually gearing up for within the Democratic Party? I want to read this article and then we're going to jump into it. If Joe Biden is not the Democratic presidential candidate in 2024, will the former First Lady Michelle Obama take his place? Some are betting that if the president is driven out of the race next year by corruption allegations, increasing signs of mental impairment, and terrible approval ratings, only the former First Lady has the name recognition and popularity to step in as a last-minute replacement. Miss Obama, one of the most admired people in the nation, would have an excellent chance of winning. This is coming from Fox, ladies and gentlemen, Fox News. And yet, revelations about Hunter Biden's influence peddling and his father's alleged complicity do not only taint Joe Biden's presidency, they also cast a shadow on the Obama White House. And this is the part I really want to highlight. This is the part that I actually want to discuss. To be sure, Michelle Obama was not the president, but it is her husband's reputation and accomplishments that she would run on. And that is a very, very important statement to analyze because it's absolutely true. And for me, I want to make sure people don't get, hypnotized or mesmerized if she came out and said that she was running. Because now they feel that it's a better candidate than, Joe Biden. She's better than Biden. At least with her and all, we got a shot at something. And that's absolutely, it's not the truth. And so I want to play this video that I dropped back in October, a clip from this video, and then I'll come back and discuss it because, like the article states, it would be his reputation and his accomplishments that she would be running off of. Even though those other communities will go and switch from Democrat to Republican in a heartbeat, especially when we know that he's telling a blatant lie. Black people have been voting majority Democrat for the past 56 years. And what have we gotten out of it? Nothing. They won't even address a situation in our community. They won't address a situation in our community directly. Unless what? Unless they add in everybody else. They will address anybody else's situations directly. But when it comes to the black community and our issues and the things that we say, hey, if you want our vote, this is what we need. This is Obama's response to us. This ain't the first time.
Everybody out there is tough. You're right. It's especially tough for the African American community. The steps we took in the first 2.5 years made a difference. It made sure that a lot of folks were still on the job that otherwise wouldn't be. It made sure that states were able to stabilize their budgets so they weren't laying off as many teachers or firefighters or civil servants that are providing services every day. But what we realized over the last couple of months is that because of a whole range of issues, including what's happened overseas in Europe, that the economy needs another boost. And we've got to focus more on putting people back to work now.
And that's what this jobs bill is.
So the jobs bill overall is designed to make sure that we're rebuilding schools and bridges and putting construction workers back to work. It makes sure that we're putting teachers back in the classroom. It makes certain that we are providing incentives to hire veterans who have been out of work, but also the long-term unemployed who are out of work. And it makes sure that we're providing tax breaks and tax credits to just about every family and every middle-class person and every small business around the country. Now, with respect to the African American community, they benefit from all of that. But in addition, we are making sure that summer jobs for youth are included in the package, making sure that we reform our unemployment insurance so that in addition to 1.4 million African Americans getting unemployment insurance, we're also providing them a pathway so that they start getting some on-the-jobs training. All those things are going to have a huge impact in the African American community. That's why we've got to get this bill passed now.
Why not target the African American community? Why not say then, this is for you? This is for African Americans. If there was a banking crisis, then you target money for the banks. If there was a national disaster, you target your money for the national for disaster relief.
That's not how America works. America works when all of us are pulling together, and everybody is focused on making sure that every single person has opportunity. And so when we put forward a program like, for example, the health care bill, our focus is people who don't have health care. Now, it turns out that the majority of folks who don't have health care are also working families and are disproportionately African American and Latino. But that doesn't mean that it's only for them. There are a whole bunch of folks all across the country who need help, and we are going to help every single person who needs help.
You see, when they go to everyone else, they have no problem cutting that check, dropping off that bag, doing whatever is specifically necessary for that specific community. But when they come to us, well, all sinking ships get lifted by raising tides. It's that if we help everyone, the black community will get help too. And that's why they lose. And every time Obama has an interview, this is what Obama has done. He has sat there and tried to make it seem like the black community needs to work together with every other community, all while he's turning around, literally giving everything to everyone else. All throughout his presidency, he did that. And then he got off when we started calling him out. He got out of his presidency and then started basically talking to us like we didn't know what the hell we were talking about. In every single interview, this is what he does. So if his wife, Michelle, is running off of, his platform of what he did and his accomplishments, he ain't accomplished anything in the black community. He didn't do not one thing tangible for the black community, not whatsoever. But he did everything for everyone else, including transfer trillions of dollars to future white generations, including giving DACA to, the Latinos and Hispanics, including giving money to, giving reparations to the Jewish Holocaust survivors living in poverty. And no, I didn't say facilitate. I said paying reparations to, because that's what he did. I don't care what Marianne Williamson said. Matter of fact, let's play the clip.
So I concur with a lot of things that you said. One, I ran for office, and I'm running yet again against the kingmaker, James Clyburn. But my attitude, if you're the kingmaker, then your district should be living like royalty, and they're not. So I know exactly how they try to shame you, exclude you, and slander your name. And my thing is this: we as Americans need to grow a backbone, okay? When did we start worrying? Well, see, I'm a black American Gullah Geechee. We've always had to stand up and fight for everything. And I know you was talking about how things used to be. Well, I was born, my great-great-grandparents are still alive. My great-grandparents were all still alive except one. And they told me the good old days for y'all weren't good old days for them. So they're used to having to fight and be slandered and be excluded and be denigrated. I want to thank you for being, and I'm going to say this because they like to say man enough. I'm going to thank you, a woman, for being man enough to do not what's popular, not what's easy,
yes,
but what's right.
Yes. And
you're running on a reparations platform. And that's the right thing to do. Now, I do want to give you some pointers, if you're open to it, about your reparations plan, because I face all kinds of backlash, which I gladly accept. I'm here for it. My ancestors who were fighting in these rice marshes and swamps didn't back down to any backlash. I will be an insult to my great-grandmother who died at 101 if I back down because of people saying mean things to me. One, reparations comes from the federal government. It does not come from your tax dollars. America pays reparations every single day. They're paying it to Ukrainians right now. They're paying it when they take care of people in the country illegally and going to the Trojan. They paid it to the Japanese Americans who were interned. Even though my great-grandfather helped to save the Jews from the Nazis, he came back to America and he was locked out of the GI Bill, which gave trillions of dollars to mainly white veterans that they say built the middle class. And yet those same Jews right now are getting reparations. People in Guam.
Wait, I have to stop you. I am a Jew. What Jews right now are getting?
This is an article that comes from a government site. Look it up if you please. But check the title. Obama administration awards $12 million for assistance to Holocaust survivors. Now, peep the wording, award. But I'm going to let her cook and then we're going to jump into this article.
I am a Jew. What Jews right now are getting reparations?
The Jews who are Holocaust survivors.
True. What?
The Jews who are Holocaust survivors.
But they're not getting reparations from the American government.
No, they're not. What the American government did in 2014 agreed to facilitate a $12 million payback to Holocaust survivors.
That had nothing to do with the U.S. government giving
No,
money
the
to
U.S.
the
government
Jews.
did facilitate that payback.
That facilitation is with an administrative Germany.
Okay.
Germany paid reparations
Well,
to
so
the
my
Jewish
point is, though,
organization.
but
the
my
United
point-
States did not pay
But
reparations.
the United States government facilitated, and the point still exists. Me, a descendant of American slaves, haven't seen a penny yet. At the end of slavery, and I know you probably know these numbers, 42 to 84 trillion dollars was the value of those of us who were enslaved. And I like the fact that you're running on reparations, but you have $1 trillion as the amount, and that is insultingly low. And I understand that you may have to make it palatable to the American public, but if we want to do what's right, we got to do what's right. And the amount that we are owed is at $70 trillion minimum. If you just do $1 trillion, they said in the 20th century, Black Americans lost $400 billion in just land theft alone. That doesn't go to Jim Crow. That doesn't go to being left from the Homestead Act that gave white Americans $10 trillion and 300 acres. So I love the fact that we're running a reparations plan, but your plan is going to have to get those numbers right. It's going to be lineage based, and the money needs to go directly to us. Because when the Japanese Americans got their money, it didn't go to a council, it went straight to them. Those Holocaust survivors, that money goes straight to them.
That's right.
We deserve to have even more so.
Yeah, so let me say a couple of things. First of all, I honor how you stand up for your ancestors, and I stand up for mine. The United States has not paid $1 of reparations to Jews for the Holocaust.
Now, Brother Marcel was a bit confused because he kept on saying facilitated. However, the truth of the matter is it was awarded. I do understand where the confusion come in, and we're going to touch on that. But first, let me read this off to you, because Marianne Williamson is absolutely wrong when she said the government ain't paid her people one penny. That's BS. So, the Obama administration has awarded $12 million for assistance to Holocaust survivors. Let me read that again. The Obama administration has awarded, peep the wording, $12 million for assistance to Holocaust survivors. The allocation from the Department of Health and Human Services to the Jewish Federation of North America to be dispersed over 5 years is a part of an initiative launched in late 2013 by Vice President Joe Biden to address the needs of survivors in the United States, a quarter of whom live below the poverty line. Each and every one of you who voted for Biden should be insulted right now if you're a part of the black community. Each and every one of you should be insulted, especially when over 50% of all the homelessness in the United States are black Americans, but yet 25% of a small group in this country who didn't experience their trauma in this country, Biden had no problem going and advocating and initiating some form of reparations for them here in this country, and Obama had no problem giving it to them. But yet, when you talk to Obama about our reparations and our restitution, oh, no, that's not how America works. America works when we're all working together, and that's how the American dream, blah, 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 blah. When you go to talk to Joe Biden about our reparations and restitution, he deflects by using the Native Americans, even though the Native Americans told him to stop bringing them up. Stop deflecting from what's owed to us. But yet he still does it. But you should feel so disrespected that the same man that keeps deflecting from your reparations had no problem initiating this action for a group of people that didn't even suffer their trauma here in America. Let's continue reading. Combined with matching private funds, let me say that again. Combined with matching private funds, because that's how they pass things for anyone else whenever they want to pass things and get it by the Republicans, and ain't nothing they can do about it. They combine their money with private funds. But let me continue. Combined with matching private funds, the approximately $2.5 million per year over the 5 years will support $4.1 million in programs annually for organizations that help Holocaust survivors, the JFNA said. According to the JFNA, the funds will be used to advance innovations in person-centered, trauma-informed, supportive services for Holocaust survivors. With this award, let me say this again. With this award, we will be able to advance our efforts to provide critical services to vulnerable survivors, including those living in poverty, those in the Orthodox Jewish community, and those from the former Soviet Union. Mark Wilf, the chairman of the JFNA's National Holocaust Survivor Initiative, said in a statement. Now, not only are they going to be using it for everyone in their community, because it's supposed to be because, there were a quarter of them living under poverty, but in the statement, they said clear as day, we're giving it to everybody in our community. That's reparations. Period, point and blank. So while Marianne Williamson, whatever, is running around talking about
the United States has not paid $1 of reparations to Jews for the Holocaust.
We know that she's a bold-faced liar. And she knows that she's a bold-faced liar. She just tries to convince us that we're mistaken about her being a bold-faced liar. And then when she couldn't get her way, she started calling Marcel a bunch of names. Anti-Semitic this, anti-Semitic that. And I've already did a video on the role of the Top Hat community in Black oppression in the history of America. I will link it at the end of this video. But for now, let's get into the confusion of the facilitation of funds.
That is number one. And by the way, as far as some of the things you said about Roosevelt, which was true about his treatment of black people, he didn't do well by the Jews during the 2 years when Hitler said they could still leave. So I will not stand here while anti-Semitic tropes are repeated.
That's not anti-Semitic. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. Holocaust survivors are getting reparations. That is not anti-Semitic. That's the truth. And I will continue to do so. And standing up for my ancestors means speaking the truth. Holocaust survivors did get 14 trillion facilitated. That is a fact. That is a fact. I don't know what it meant. All I know that my ancestors have not gotten a penny. My ancestors have not gotten a penny. That's all I know. And it's an insult for the American government to facilitate a facilitation of payment to Holocaust survivors while my great-grandfather is still alive and he fought to save the Jews from the Nazis.
Shout out to Greg Marcel Dixon. And also shout out to TD Hip Hop. He just did a video on this article as well. So I want to give him shout out for that as well. But let's jump into this article here. Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton both supported reparations, just not for American slavery. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders caused a stir when he told Fusion that he does not support reparations for slavery on the grounds that such a program would be very divisive and would never pass Congress. 4 years ago, though, Sanders did support a form of reparations, not for the descendants of African slaves and victims of other injustices against African Americans, but for Holocaust survivors and the families of those who were killed. Gee, no one was alive today, right? No one is alive who went through that. Didn't matter here, huh? For the families that was killed as well. So the descendants. Okay, let's move forward. The Vermont senator joined 18 colleagues in co-sponsoring the Holocaust Rail Justice Act, a bill to help survivors and families sue France's National Railway Company, SNCF, for reparations. A group of victims' families, no one was alive, right? A group of victims' families called the Coalition of Holocaust Rail Justice pushed for a decade to get the railway to pay because it carried tens of thousands of Jews and other prisoners from France to German camps. SNCF officials have apologized and argued that the Nazis forced the railway to do it. The Sanders-sponsored bill never came up for a vote, but in 2014, France agreed to send the United States Department $60 million to be distributed to American Holocaust survivors and victims' families. After the deal was announced, Senator Chuck Schumer, one of the lead sponsors of the Holocaust Rail Justice Act, credited the bill for helping make the payment possible. Now, when have you ever seen them go to bat for Black Americans like that? And when have you ever seen them oblige us when we come the same way that their families came? Their families came in and said, oh, no one is alive who went through that. F you, pay us. Well, it wasn't our fault. The Nazis made us do it. F you, pay us. And they got paid. And the United States government helped facilitate it. A $60 million payout after Obama awarded them $12 million. Yeah, while Marianne Wilson or Williamson or whatever the hell her name is running around here speaking as if it's false. And I find it so hilarious, so disrespectful, to be honest, not even hilarious. I find it so disrespectful that two of the people who sat here and continues to fight against reparations going to Black Americans, one advocated and then pushed into effect a program that gave Jewish Americans $12 million, which was Biden, and then Sanders advocated and pushed and facilitated $60 million to be brought in for those Jewish Americans. Do you see where the problem lies? Do you see why Black Americans are not on this plantation anymore? It's not about the Republicans. It's not about the Democrats. We're not getting anything from either side. So why are we going to sit here and give you our votes? Why should we give you anything, including attention? When all you do, when all the party does, is spit in our face and go to everybody else and pander to them. And pander to them. So when we're speaking about Michelle Obama, ain't nothing gonna change. She gonna do exactly what her husband did, which was nothing. She might speak good. She might speak very well. But all she's going to do is the same thing that her husband did. It's the same thing that Biden did. And if you notice, the LGBTQ, they got a hate crime bill under Obama. Under Biden, the Asians got a hate crime bill. Black Americans are the number one group in this country that experiences hate crimes. You don't see them giving us one. Each time we put them into the office where they were supposed to represent us, you don't see them representing us. They're going after everybody else and giving everybody else everything else, but you don't see them doing a damn thing for us. And trust me, if Michelle Obama get into office, it's going to be the exact same thing. And if you don't believe me, the more you mess around, the more you find out. And with that being said, if you have not done it yet, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Share this video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're willing to vote for Michelle Obama. If she was to come out and say, you know what, I'm going to run for the president of the United States, and Joe Biden decides to bow out gracefully. Would you go and cast your vote for Barack Obama's wife? Peace, family.